evening, you're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkha Dutt. On the program this evening, the image that captured a lot of the headlines and also provoked a lot of discussions was this one. The Petroleum Minister Veerappa Moily taking a ride on the metro as part of what he's arguing could be a serious way of bringing down the fuel bill of the government. Now remember, this was a grand photo opportunity. It became a big media event. All of his staffers travelled with him on that metro today. The entire entourage was on that train, sort of defeating the purpose of this being a moment for the VIP to become an Aam Aadmi. But nevertheless, on the program today, we'll be asking whether Veerappa Moily's symbolic gesture is a genuine attempt at creating austerity within the government, or is it just a gimmicky and meaningless photo op? That'll be our big debate on the Buck Stops Here tonight, coming up shortly. Also coming up on the Buck Stops Here, Andhra Pradesh continues to be ravaged by now what could be a humanitarian crisis if power outages in the states continue as protests refuse to abate on the announcement of a separate state of Telangana. Doctors are warning that there could be a medical crisis. Trains are not running on time. There could be a serious water crisis as well. But the Congress is still adamant the state of Telangana will go ahead as planned. On the program today, coming up later, we'll be asking the man from the Congress in charge of the state, Digvijay Singh, on whether the party will roll back or go slow.
There is no question of going back on this decision. The decision was taken after due consideration, consultation, and therefore we have taken a considered decision, taking into the consideration of all issues that are relevant to this decision.
All right, let's get started with our top story tonight. Why should a minister using public transport that everybody uses become a media story, a headline? It becomes a headline because it rarely happens. The VIP culture, the entrenched VIP culture, means that we rarely see public transport in this country becoming something that actually is a class barrier, a power breaking barrier as it were. Veerappa Moily, the Petroleum Minister, today took a metro ride. His staffers and his entire entourage encouraged him and accompanied him. Veerappa Moily is arguing that if this is done once a week, not just by his staff, but by all public sector undertakings, by all chief ministers, it could bring down fuel costs of the government substantively. Is this just a photo op, or is this something that we should take seriously? Shweta Rajpal Kohli accompanied Mr. Moily on his train ride.
Veerappa Moily decided to walk the talk. The kick-off, the official kick-off of his fuel conservation drive. For Petroleum Minister Veerappa Moily, this is a very important move. He has in fact urged all PSU chiefs to observe a bus day, something he believes will help them save the country as much as $5 billion. The Petroleum Minister there continuing his journey by foot to the metro station. After a short 5-minute walk from his residence at Tughlaq Lane, the Petroleum Minister has now reached the racecourse metro station, taking the metro to his office at Shastri Bhavan. We are now waiting here at the racecourse metro station for the metro to arrive. Sir, are you going to do this every week? Are we going to see you do this every week?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday you will be taking the metro to work.
Yeah.
So
Whenever
through the
I'm
day,
there in Delhi.
so through the day you will be taking only public transport. We don't see you using your vehicle at all through the day today.
Never. And you know, once if you do it, public will also think of it.
All right, we can see the metro has just arrived and the Petroleum Minister will be getting into the metro right now, really hoping that this is something that will send out a right example. As you can see, it's an extremely crowded metro that the Petroleum Minister has clearly boarded, sir. We've of course got huge security presence here today, but is this something you can accomplish week after week?
No, I have not asked them to provide the security, but their presence is there. We can't, because they are there to regulate the traffic.
So was this metro ride a mere photo opportunity, or will it result in real savings? Moily claims over 200 officials of the Petroleum Ministry took the public transport today, which means nearly 600 litres of petrol or diesel would have been saved, resulting in savings of over 40,000 rupees in one day alone. All right, a humble beginning is exactly something that the Petroleum Minister says he's doing by taking the metro. It's been the most exciting journey that Veerappa Moily has taken in a long time, finally arriving here at his office in the midst of tremendous media hype, saying that this is a movement that he has started, hoping the rest of the country will follow him and take public transport as and when possible. With camera person Sanjay Kaushik and Azam, Shweta Rajpal Kohli for NDTV.
All right, so is Veerappa Moily's metro mantra a serious austerity measure, or is it just a gimmicky photo op? The minister will be joining us shortly, but let's get started with our panel tonight. With us in the studio is Sunita Ranayan, one of our best known environmentalists and conservationists. Also with me in the studio is Piyush Goyal, senior leader of the BJP. And joining me from Goa tonight, somebody who's been leading the fight against the VIP culture in our country, even going to the Supreme Court against it, is of course our well-known lawyer, senior advocate, former Solicitor General Harish Salve. Harish, let me start with you. Considering you went to the highest court of this land against the VIP culture of this country, which is entrenched, which is deep, which is almost unshakable, do you believe what we have seen today, and we hope the minister will be joining us shortly, do you believe what we've seen today is something we should appreciate for genuine symbolism, or is it making a mockery of what we like to call austerity measures?
Barka, a bit of both. It is something we must appreciate, undoubtedly. At least somebody has done something which underscores the fact that our way of working is thoroughly undesirable. We are wasting money, we are wasting resources. But then, as you rightly use the word, it is symbolism, and any symbolism in a country at this distance of time now is a joke. We need serious measures. And I'm now putting this on the table. Why can we not move all the government offices in 5 multi-stories? 4 multi-stories next to each other. Ministers' homes, ministers' offices. There is no need for a metro. Walking distance from Parliament. Is it necessary for every minister to live in a mini farmhouse in
Are you being
Delhi?
serious?
Or is that the main
There's
symbol
no need for a
of
metro?
power?
Harish, there's no need
Very
for a
serious.
metro?
For them.
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying there is no need for a minister even to take the metro. He should walk to his office.
Exactly.
The office should be in a neighboring multi-story building. Why should anybody need to commute when you are a minister? Why not put all the Supreme Court judges in one multi-story building? Why not put all the High Court judges in one multi-story building? This mini farm in Lutyens zone, Delhi culture must go, because that's the symbol of power. Can you imagine? You will completely do away with the need for all these symbolic austerity measures. I mean, we have serious issues. We waste money on 100 big things. Petrol, I think, is one of the... Yes, of course, we must curtail the consumption of petrol. But on the one hand, the minister will take this. Tomorrow, you will see an entourage of the neighboring state chief minister with 14 cars.
Yeah.
Or you will see some Z security person going, roads being blocked, 14 cars, and a 2-kilometer backup. So this is all, the symbolism sometimes you feel is actually mocking India.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you, because the fact is that maybe the minister's been well-intentioned, but when you see those 200 people with him and his entire entourage with him, to me at least it seemed to defeat the very purpose of this being something that was really about the public, because the public should not be inconvenienced if the VIPs start taking public transport. Now, Sunita, before we get our politicians in, and we're waiting for Veerappa Moily to also join us, Piyush Goyal, I'm sure, will be taking him on. Look at some of these figures. The problem with the government and Veerappa Moily saying that, look, all chief ministers, all PSU heads, everybody, he's saying, I have asked chief ministers, central ministries and PSU heads to use public transport one day of the week. The Petroleum Ministry is claiming that it's 40,000 rupees a day. Do you really see this as a serious move?
Well, Barkha, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
And I would stand a little different on this to say, I think it's very good that he's taken a metro. I hope he'll take a bus tomorrow. Because it's very important.
Somehow I
for
can't
us.
imagine that.
I can't imagine that as well, Barkha, but I think that's where we need to move towards. Let's be very clear. Almost 50% of India's oil and oil products are used just in personal transport use. 98% of petrol is used in cars, and over 30% of diesel is used
That's
today
right.
in personal cars.
Okay,
and so you have to be able to cut it down, and the growth is going to go even more and more. We sell 1 million cars a year, we sell 30,000 buses a year. So what I think Mr. Moily should stand for, I hope he will become the advocate now for public transport, because this has to be a public transport move, and public transport has to be connected to pedestrian ways. Let's be very clear, Mr. Moily lives in Lotayan, Delhi. He can take a metro and walk to his work. You live in a part of Delhi where even if you wanted to take the metro, you can't walk. So it's all connected to our mindset to saying we have to reinvent mobility in a really big way. And Mr. Moily and his government are actually very seriously to blame today for the kind of fuel bill that is being imposed on buses and railways, because today we have a warped diesel policy. We subsidize diesel for a Mercedes-Benz and we charge bulk rate for buses and railways.
That's right.